Good afternoon, everyone, and a very warm welcome to episode 5 of the My Career in Tech web series. I am your host, Oluwademilade Abiru. For those of you who are new to our channel, this series connects the 3MTT talents with experienced tech professionals. Today, we are joined by Adora Unwodo, the founder of Nexus Skill, Amina Lawal, who is a software engineer, and our moderator today is none other than Blessing Emma, a blockchain ecosystem builder. Today, we will cover building a strong foundation in tech. So choosing the right tech stack. We'd like our esteemed guest speakers to offer guidance on selecting and learning foundational technology skills for learners in the early stages of their tech journey. With no further ado, I would like to hand over the mic to our moderator for today, Blessing Emma. Blessing, you're welcome.
Thank you very much, Demi. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Hi, Amina. Good to have you here. So I know you guys are wondering about Adora. She'll be joining in very soon. So don't worry about it. In a few minutes, you'll see her. So hi, guys. My name is Blessing Emma, and I'm a blockchain ecosystem builder. That means that I basically help educate people about blockchain and I help drive the adoption of blockchain. So Amina, hi, Amina. So I have with us here Amina, and Amina is going to slightly just introduce herself to let you guys get to know her more. So Amina, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Blessing. Hi, everybody, and it's a pleasure to be here today. My name is Amina Lawal, and I have a software engineering degree, and I work as a DevOps engineer. And I currently work for an international company, but then we also co-founded a DevOps company here in Nigeria called HostSpace, so you can check us out. And I also have a lot of skills. I've been through a lot of technical careers, and I'm happy to be here today because this topic today is something I wish I had been through when I first started in tech. So I do hope that I have a lot to tell you people, and yeah, it will be very useful. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm sure everyone is excited. I like the fact that you talked about how you've been. So I'm happy about that. I feel like people, when they want to get into tech, they basically transition a lot, and that's something that people need to discuss. So I'm so happy that you're here to share your experience with us. So let's just get started and get into it. So Amina, can you tell us about your journey into tech? The year journey, all those, the good, the bad, the ugly, everything.
Okay. Let's say my journey has been like a roller coaster in summary. I'm what you call a bit of a multi-potentialite. So people like me kind of have diverse interests in a lot of fields, and people call us like jack of all trades in summary as an insult,
Yes.
but it's not. Yeah. So when I first got into tech through a software engineering degree. Not everybody has that opportunity, and I like to say that I'm really lucky. So I got into tech through that. But when I was studying my degree at first, I remember my first year, I was not too sure about what I was doing because that was not what I wanted to study. My plan
Yeah.
was to be an architect, but then I found myself here. So I wasn't too sure what's going on. I remember having my first programming class, Python, and I passed with a B, but I still was not sure what was happening. So along the way, I think my second semester, I decided that if I was going to study a software engineering like program, why don't I do it 100%? So that meant I needed to bridge the theoretical knowledge from what I got from school with the practical knowledge. So the first thing I did was try to join communities. So I started, going for community events. I remember then I would go for something Jetpack Compose with Android, and I would just be seated through the event. I had no idea what was going on, but then I kept going back to this event. So along the way, I attended my first DevFest, which is a program mostly organized by Google. And from there, I met a lady who was an Android developer.
Yeah.
And I was so in tune with her. I loved what she had done. Remember that I had no experience as of this point, but then I saw somebody I liked and I walked up to her after the event. I told her, hello, I wanted to go into tech. Can you help mentor me? And then she was like, sure, why not come to the hub on Monday? So I went to her on Monday, and she told me, okay, first thing we're going to do is you have to research what fields do you want. And I did a bunch of research. Trust me, I still didn't know what was going on, because I feel like tech is, sometimes the fields are so abstract, or you can't just add 1+1. It's a bit difficult to kind of pick what you want, because there's so many fields, so many skills, and it's so confusing. But then she advised, okay, why don't we start from something beginner friendly, which was going into like web development. So I started with HTML. That was my first thing. I learned HTML. I think that in 1 week, I moved into CSS. We started learning JavaScript. Along the way, I felt like this was not for me anymore. I wasn't really enjoying it as I should, because there was no passion there, kind of. Sorry to all the web developers in the house, but it was not my thing. I then decided that, okay, maybe I didn't like the programming aspect. So I went into UI, UX. I did that for like a month, and it was not triggering any passion, any interest in me still.
Yeah.
It was not it didn't click, So I also left that behind. And trust me, this UI UX and web was like 6 months I was doing this. Then I moved into mobile development, but mobile development for Android. My stack then was Kotlin. And I was enjoying that, oh, it was going. I remember that's where I even made my first money from. And yeah, and I really liked it, But then along the way, I felt like how I started my mobile development career was not proper. I didn't get the right foundation. This is why I'm happy we're here today. I didn't get the right foundation. I started building apps before even learning OOP concepts, like the object-oriented programming concept. So it was like I was trying to make my building from the top, not from the foundation. And I was just joining pieces and pieces, which was very terrible, So it felt like then imposter syndrome hit. I felt like I didn't know what I was doing. Sometimes when I was asleep, I was thinking about bugs or things I had to do. Basically, it was messing up with my mental health. Like, I'm not kidding. Just because I didn't get the right foundation. So I decided that, okay, no, I wanted to start afresh. And I had done like the mobile development thing for like a year too. So I kind of transitioned into another non-technical field, which was product management and project management. I also did that for a while. I took a like 9-month certification. It was super fun and all of that. And it didn't feel challenging enough also. So I kind of didn't like it. So I left again. This is such bad, like I've lived a bad thing, like, from A to B to C to D. And along the way, I found DevOps engineering thanks to a mentor, Tim. And we started at first the foundation and everything. And it's been like 2 years now that we've been into DevOps. And finally, something clicked. I feel like I didn't get to know myself better earlier on when I started. I didn't get to know my goals. I didn't get to know personally my soft skills, my technical skills. If I had known, I would have known that DevOps would have been a like better fit for me. So literally, that's just how my tech career has been. As I mentioned, it was a roller coaster.
It's the way you're shorting about four. I feel like your journey has been like 4 years, 3 years, kind of. You're
You're not
shortened it.
kidding. It's 4 years.
Yes. Like you shortened it into like 5 minutes, but that moment was not funny. It was, I think that most people relate to that in terms of when they want to start their tech journey, people will say go into front end and then they'll learn front end, but they know that it's not the one. Then they now try to find another one. I feel like everyone has been there. It's hard for some people, like, yes, some people that just pick one thing and they stick to it. But I feel like we grow and we grow. And I really, really enjoyed that about your journey. The fact that it wasn't as if you knew what you were doing at first. You got guidance, but you had like probably a school that someone was teaching you. You had guidance and you were trying different things. Yes, it took time, but yet you found what you wanted. Exactly. I mean, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I think like there's so many things to pick from your story. You mentioned the power of community, like how community really helped you. And even when I was looking at your profile, I saw that you were also like Google Student Developers Club lead. And then I saw that Women Tech Makers, you're also there. So how has community played a role in your path?
Okay, so I keep on saying today, every time anybody asks me the same question, that I'm where I am today because of community. My current job is from the community. Every single achievement or every single thing I have gotten is from the community. And the community is like really important because one is having people around you with that same goal, the
Yeah,
same passion, the same mindset is very important. Um, I felt like when I was seated at home, I didn't know what was going on. I was researching. It wasn't working for me. I needed to step out there, meet other people, hear their stories, people, more advanced than I am. And
yeah,
whenever I got to sit down with people in this like top industries, the same way we're here today to talk, it
yeah,
just really moved me. And it seemed like, okay, I wanted to be like that person. That was literally it for me. So I made sure that I exposed myself a lot in the community. Like when you go into my community here in Kano State and you ask, a lot of people would know me. And one thing I also made sure to do was give back to the community. That's why you would
yes,
see like I was Google Developer Student Club lead, because I wanted to provide that platform for people to grow as much as it was provided to me. And but in particularly also women, because being in northern Nigeria, there's like we're quite underrepresented.
yeah,
So I made sure that I also laid that platform for other women to come out, learn, grow together, share problems. And honestly, I just love the fact that I can be going through something today, and all I need to go do is go into my community groups and say, hi guys, I need so and so, and then I'm going to have like 5, 10 people providing solutions to that problem. So honestly, the community is very big, and I always like to use this quote that says, if you want to go far, sorry, if
yeah,
you want to go fast in life, you can do it alone. But if you
yeah,
want to go far, you have to do it as a collective. So
yeah. Thank you very much. I mean, that's like beautiful. That's so beautiful. I understand, like, people don't understand like the importance of communities in their journey. When you
yeah,
look at all the big tech guys that you look up to and the ladies, everybody, you should always notice in their story, there's always a community. There's always someone speaking on their behalf. There's always like someone will be like, this guy opened door for me. Why? Because I volunteered in this community, because I was part of this community. But you can't do tech without community. I don't know. It feels like, and community is like people. So if you're choosing to like do tech without community, it's like you want to struggle. That
you
means
will
like
struggle.
you will struggle. You
You
want
feel
to
like
you want
a blind man walking through a maze.
yes, because of community will literally go up with opportunities, people, resources, and like sometimes all these events that happen that are paid, they just give communities discounts. There's so much
Yeah.
benefit. Yes, there's so much benefit
Free
to being.
vouchers on certifications. You get to see things like
Yeah.
that.
Yes. So people, a community is very important in your growth. Hi, Adora, welcome. Adora, can
Hi,
you hear?
yes.
Hello.
Hi everyone. Good afternoon. How's everyone doing?
We are all good. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
Okay. Do you need a minute or you're ready?
Uh, I need a minute to turn on my camera, but I'm ready right now to talk.
Okay. All right, no
Welcome,
problem.
Dora. Welcome, Adora. Don't worry, we'll
Thank you.
just give Adora a couple of minutes just to get her
Yeah,
fully set up.
no problem. So, I mean, I have one more question for you before we move on to Adora. You talked
Okay, sure.
about doing different things, and now you found DevOps. Now, when someone thinks about tech, DevOps is like the least. It's like on the bottom. No one really thinks about, oh, going to DevOps. It's so weird. Like if someone say, I want to go into tech, now I'll be going to DevOps. So most people be like, what's DevOps? Like, what does it entails? How is it important in an everyday product? Can you like explain to like the community and to our audience what DevOps is and what you do?
Okay. So whenever people ask me what is DevOps, And what does it entail? I like to use a very non-technical explanation. So
Yeah.
I would just say, like, imagine you're a chef in a restaurant and you have like culinary skills to whip up like the most loveliest dishes. But then if you don't have someone to take orders, someone to deliver the food, someone
Mm.
to clean up the mess, the restaurant won't last long, right?
Yes.
So that's where DevOps comes in. So what we do is we're like that efficient, well-oiled kitchen crew that we help, let's say, the chefs create culinary masterpieces. So it's like the bridge between the creative world of developers, in my scenario, the chef, who build the software, and the operational world. And we make sure that everything is running smoothly. So we as DevOps engineers, we bring this towards together. We break down the silos, we foster collaboration, and we ensure that you don't wake up one day and say, my WhatsApp is down, my Instagram is down, or I can't access this, I can't access that. So, and you asked why DevOps was important, right? So, first thing is we ensure that, releases, they're more faster and frequent. You don't want to hear that maybe there's a bug on WhatsApp and it's taking 2 weeks to get it fixed. I mean, come on. You're going to be angry a bit and stuff like. So we also ensure that, the software quality is
Yes.
better. So we have practices like continuous testing, continuous integration, and those help identify and fix bugs like early in the early stages, leading and that helps software become more reliable. So, and then we also have the automation part of DevOps, just to
Yeah.
speed up development and deployment processes. Just to free up time, so that you won't, when you're sleeping, you're not thinking about our server crashing and stuff like that. Most things are automated. We are able to, scale down resources and scale up resources whenever necessary. And honestly, in summary, I just like to say DevOps is like secret ingredient that
Yeah.
takes software development from good to great. It's the glue.
Yeah.
It holds everything together
Yes.
to
What
ensure,
is
like,
the
the final product is functional and enjoyable.
Yes, yes, yes. I feel like the term you use is the glue that makes everything work together. Everything should keep on running. And you don't, like example, most people have experienced it that you say that a website will be loading or it will crash. And then you can just be like, maybe you don't have a good DevOps team. But now we understand what it entails. So Amina, thank you so much for explaining what
Thank you.
DevOps is. I'm sure our audience have learned a lot. And thank you for that illustration. Really,
Thank
really
you.
good. Hi. Hi, Adora. Hi.
Hi, hi, good afternoon, I guess. Yeah.
Good afternoon. Please, can you tell us about yourself a little?
So I'm a senior software engineer currently working at the intersection of cloud infrastructure and developer platforms. I like to teach a lot, so this has led me to becoming a digital creator, creating courses, writing articles and stuff. I also speak, like I do public speaking, and I am an author of 3 books on the cloud. I also have a nonprofit helping people get started in their tech careers. That is called Nexus Scale. Um, yeah, that's pretty much
Adora, you do a lot of things. Like,
it.
you do a lot of things. Like, we all know you bigness and you do a lot of things. My question to you is that I know that at the core of it, like your core is most engineering. Like, how did you know you wanted to become an engineer? I know you do other things, but engineer is like your core. How did you know that's what you wanted?
Um, it was pretty much a done deal since I was a kid. I was one of those people that got introduced to computers very early on in my life, and I just loved computers. So obviously at that time, I didn't know what computer science or programming was, but I knew what computers were and I loved them. So I used to tell myself that whatever I wanted to be, it would be something that would allow me to be in front of a computer every day. And because the more I spent in front of a computer every day, it was only about a matter of time before I discovered programming, and I started programming, I was writing Visual Basic, I was writing HTML as well, building very ugly websites. And I got into secondary school, kept on doing that. And towards the end of secondary school, like, SS2, SS3, I had to start thinking about, okay, what am I going to do with my life? What do I want to read in uni? What do I want to do? And I'm saying this because this is very important for like wise counsel. This is the reasons why wise counsel is very important for people generally. Because I used to say, oh, I want to study math and learn to code. And if I didn't have people around me to be like, what you are talking about already sounds like computer science, so just go and do computer science. I didn't think they would, because I knew that there was math.
Yeah.
Study all the things that you studied in school. So someone could study math, someone could study English, someone could study in the context of medicine, someone could study government in the context of law. So like I just knew those very basic ones that are very obvious to people, right? But I didn't know, I knew there was engineering. I knew that, oh, if you do TD, you can be an architect. If you like TD and you like chemistry, you can be an engineer. I didn't know the kind of engineer, but I mean,
You knew.
yeah, right. So I was like, oh, I'm going to study math and learn to code. And I had I have an elder brother who has a friend. At that time, his friend, who's also a family friend, by the way, was getting a master's degree in MIT. So he was like, talk to this person. Because it sounds like it's computer science you want to do, but let me not convince you. Talk to the person that's doing computer science and hear what he has to say. So I spoke to him about like what I wanted to do, and he was like, yeah, it sounds like, computer science, blah, blah. Go ahead and, do it. So I said, okay, right. And obviously, I told my mom at that time, and she had a friend who had a daughter in Unilag that was studying computer science. So she did the connections, like, hey, needs this person, help her, whatever. Right. And I officially now had a mentor, right? In
Big sister.
school that was going to go, yeah. And that sort of helped a lot because it defined what came, the series of years after, because I had wise counsel, I had guidance, and I knew that, okay, I want to study computer science because I want to code. And computer science is very broad. There's a lot that you can do. Science means to know, and computers are computers, right? So computer science is just like knowing about computers, understanding computers. Software engineering is like a very tiny part of computer science. But I knew that to be a software engineer at that time, because I went through the traditional route of going to school. Now it's very different, right? You have people that transition into tech and pick up coding and are doing amazing at it. I know a bunch of people that studied something else and are now, engineering managers or senior software engineers are doing pretty amazing. And then there's some people like us that went through school to learn this thing and we're doing it as well. And I pretty much did that, got my first job in my fourth year as an intern, stayed as an intern up until my fifth year, graduated, joined the company full time, and I've pretty much been working ever since. So that's like how I got in, basically.
Thank you very much for that. I think the core lesson in your story has to do with having a very good support system, like your parents listening to you, your elder brother being there and being aware, and even having people that have knowledge about the field that you want to go into. And I think it's very good that you also have support in terms of no one told you, no, Adora, you cannot do this. No, Adora, you can't do that. A girl is not meant to do that. I think it's just good way that you embrace it and you're like, I want to learn this. And it's not because of, oh, it's hard. I actually want to be this. And you pursued that vision. You went for it. So thank you so much. Yes, now, and yes, you're a go-getter. Yes. So, yeah, when people are shy, especially women, we have some time. Society has taught us to be quiet a lot, but we are learning to come out of our shell more. And not everyone is like this, but we need to just be more like go. The word is like go-getting or goal-oriented. But
I
that's
agree.
it.
I
Yes,
agree.
yes. So Adora, I have one more question for you. So you do other things, like a lot more right now. You've written 3 books. You did, I think, Stanford, your MBA, a degree. And then you also are like a public speaker. You also teach people and you have next skill. How do you do all these things in terms of what keeps you going? What keeps you going?
What keeps me going is that I like all the things that I do. It's like I don't know if I would be as energetic or in love with the craft
Okay.
if it wasn't something I found interesting or intriguing. I mean, at the end of the day, every single thing I do is centered around one thing, which is technology. And I have been a child of technology, if that makes sense, since I was a child, legit. And even in secondary school, I used to be that person because I went to the first e-learning school of Africa. That's what they call themselves. So like I had a laptop in school. And I used to be that, like, we had laptops in school. And I used to be that person that people would bring their laptop to when they were having issues with something, or maybe they felt like they've pressed something and they've spoiled something. Obviously, I hated that tag because it's like, I'm
You're
always
the
with my laptop because
yes.
I'm using the internet and I'm coding. All these operational things on your computer is not really my business. Like, I know how to go around it, but that's not why we're here. Do you understand?
Yeah.
But the point is, I'd always been seen as that person. And another thing I also really, really, really love is teaching. I mean, now I have grown into a YouTuber, I've grown into a public speaker. I am writing books, I'm writing thought leadership articles, I'm doing these things. But once upon a time, I used to be that person that 2 hours before the math exam, everybody is sitting around me because I'm teaching them how to solve math right before the paper. Um, and this is something that used to happen in primary school. This is something that happened in secondary school. This is something that happened in university as well, right? So I've always been someone that loves teaching. So it just makes sense to combine the different things I love and expand them into, different kinds of things. But if you notice, they're still all centered around the same thing. But it's not an easy thing to do, right? So one thing I know for sure is that I don't want to center myself around the company that I work for. So yes, Adora is a senior software engineer at this place, but it's like that can change at any time, right? And I can be a lot more than where I work. And so for me, it's like I constantly want to do things to teach and give myself, but I also want to be more than just someone that works at XYZ company. And I have this philosophy, two philosophies actually. The first one is actually a the first one is something that I've read before, and it says something about if you light a lamp, you're not going to put it under the table where nobody can see it. You will bring it out and put it, and I think I tweeted it last week or something. You bring it out and you put it on the table. So like no one lights a lamp and puts it under the table. You put it on a lampstand, put it on the table, because so you are the light of the world, and all of that. And for me, it's like I am the light of the world. I have to shine. And obviously, my light should touch other people, should impact other people, should inspire other people. And this is one thing that I live by that constantly gives me going. Another thing is the fact that the graveyard is a place that has many buried talents. And I just want that to be my case. So I also, and that's even one of the reasons why I have started exploring my other talents even beyond tech. Like, for example, I released something on my birthday which shocked everybody. For me, it's like I don't want to have to die in my old age with so many things buried inside of me that I didn't get to
You want
explore.
to die empty.
Or in my adults. I want to die. I want to give all of myself and die empty. Exactly. So these two things keep me going. As a result, obviously, you have to find a way to manage it because you have a job, you have your non-profit that is, helping people, you have things you are doing to inspire people, you have things you love to do for yourself. But if you don't manage all of them, you lose that job, you sack you. The things that you are trying to do, you wouldn't do it well. It will be clear that there is, a disconnect or it's disorganized or something. But somehow, my life appears to be put together, even if in real life that's the case. But my life appears to be put together. And one of the things that allows that to happen is that I plan everything, right? If it's not, and a little, sometimes it's a bad thing because a little shift can damage my schedule for the rest of the day, especially when you are planning with external people. It's like, oh, I have this appointment with you, but somehow you have changed it or you came late, and that now affects subsequent things I'm supposed to be doing after you. But although in my planning sometimes I keep room for like I keep
Changes.
space for, different things, either that I'm resting or just a buffer in case something happens, right? But I plan everything, and I'm pretty much that girl that uses my calendar. So if it's not my calendar, I don't know about it. It's not happening. If you want to do something, put it on my calendar. If you don't put it on my calendar and I consider it's important, I will put it on my calendar on your behalf. But it has to be there because it helps me when I wake up in the morning. I'm like, oh, I have XYZ things to do, even down to time that I spend with my family and my friends, virtually or physically, is accounted for. Obviously, not to the T, right? I'm not a robot. But like I said, I give space. It's just being intentional about your time. And that's something that I do a lot. Something else is that I delegate. So, that whole important versus urgent graph and things like that. So like I delegate things I believe don't require my direct skill sets.
Yeah.
Things as important. So to give room for other things that I know I have to do. I have an assistant. She's pretty amazing. And she helps with like a bunch of things behind the scenes that people don't get to see. Because to be honest, it takes a village, right? There's the assistant, there's the fact that I have also like somehow access to help, and home staff and things like that. So even mundane things like, oh, laundry or cooking, all these types of things that on a normal day, if I leave the alone, I will do. I'm sort of not doing, right?
Yeah.
Once in a while when I have to do them, I now have to factor that into my day as well. Because it comes a time when once in a while you do things, right? But like I have to factor them, I have to plan for doing them as well. Because I'm very intentional about anything I spend my energy on. Because if you are not, there are so many things that can require your attention in this life. So you need to also ask yourself, it's like, okay, this thing wants my attention. But is this something I want to be spending my attention on? Is this something I want to be spending my time doing? Because everybody has 24 hours in a day. But
Yeah.
somehow, different people's lives, they are able to do a lot more in those 24 hours, or they seem like they're a lot more productive. And that's just intentionality, really. And that's one thing that I have learned. I'm very intentional about my time and I over delegate everything. That's one thing that has pretty much helped me like to stay on top of everything that I'm doing. And I also give myself grace, to be honest. So I'm a YouTuber, but I understand that, it's okay to skip a week in posting, right? Nobody will beat you at the end of the day. Because you still have books to write, you still have to show up at your job, and you cannot just show up, you have to shine. Because if you don't, it's only a matter of time before somebody takes, before somebody else takes the job, before they sack you or something, right? So you have to be intentional about the different things you are doing. Sometimes you prioritize some things over others, right? It's like, okay, I'm an author, but it's not every day of the year that I am authoring books.
Yes.
I'm a YouTuber, but I will sit down for 2 hours on Saturday and record a video and give it to somebody else to edit it. So you have to find a way to structure those things like your life and your time, right? And that goes back to being very intentional about things that you're doing.
Thank you very much for that, Adora. I feel like that really answered a lot of people question because of they see you doing a lot of things and they keep wondering that, oh, I'm into business, yes, I'm into tech, yes, I'm into building this and building that, but then I can't manage it. And you see Adora, and then they come online. Social media can be bad. They come you post a book, and then next week they see that, oh, yeah, I got a letter from this school, and people like, wow, how is she doing it? I think like thank you so much for sharing, because people have really learned a lot. Like me, I understand, like you said, you are a planner. You talked about delegating, you talked about having an assistant. Not everyone can have an assistant now, but they can plan their time. And I
Yeah.
think that's something that
Make use of like virtual assistants as well. So if you can't have a physical assistant, there's no reason why you can't use AI to do things for you.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, so thank you very much for that. Like, we really learned a lot from your session. So we have questions from the audience, but before we go into there, I want to ask this question. Both of you run communities. That means that you help people find their way in tech. So when people, like, now, the theme of this conversation is basically choosing the right tech stack. What are the advice, or what would you say is like the structure or the process that you say that, okay, go through this process or this roadmap to find your own the right stack for you? So Amina, can you go first? Then Adora.
Okay.
Okay, sorry, Blessing. Can you go through over that question again?
Okay, so I talked about how both of you are leading communities. You're leading communities, and then you have people walk up to you and they'll be like, I don't know what I want to do. So my own question is, how do you advise them? What's the process? What's the structure? How do you go about go?
Okay. So, as I mentioned earlier when I was speaking, is finding the particular path you want to follow in tech is very difficult. It's like I just tell people to buckle up because where to begin, you wouldn't even know. So
Yeah.
first thing I tell people now is to like chart your course. So what I mean by that is honestly, what sparks your curiosity? You know, is it that website, that slick looking website, that attracts you? Or is it the power of data? Or is it like creating virtual worlds, Just what exactly ignites your enthusiasm and is about you researching, is about you feeling what other tech feels. Once you find your passion, you see, okay, maybe I'm attracted to the way websites are built. And you can, set realistic goals. You can't be Elon Musk overnight. So you start with, small, achievable goals and start building upon that. And also, definitely, you have to choose your learning path. So, for example, I am a visual learner and I like working in peers. So you have to find the method that resonates with you, the one that keeps you motivated and accountable,
Okay.
And once you have that figured out, please master the fundamentals. Like, I'm not joking. This thing comes back to bite people, you know, master the fundamentals of your path pick. If you're going into DevOps, master your networking fundamentals, master the Linux, master how to, write shell scripts.
Fundamentals.
Embrace all tech stacks, not all, sorry, embrace important tech stacks, e.g., you familiarize yourself with essential tools like, Git, maybe for version control, how to use databases, APIs to connect different systems, and so on.
Yeah.
And thirdly, I would say dive into the community again, connect with other people, learn to contribute to open source projects,
Yeah.
and engage with mentors. Like, that's the final thing I can tell you. Like, having a mentor is just so special and it's life saving. It helps you save a lot of time that you will be wasting if you were doing it alone. So yeah, that's what I'll tell a beginner in tech.
Thank you very much. So I like how Amina ended with finding a mentor. So if you guys missed last week's session, Peace held moderated, and it was on finding a mentor. So most of you be like, where do I find mentors? How do I approach them? Go back and watch last episode so that you can learn how to navigate that own journey. So Adora, what about you? How do you advise people in finding the right tech stack?
So for me, sometimes I'll say like with finding the right tech stack, what does that even mean? And I'm asking because I don't like to niche on stacks, right?
Okay.
I feel like it limits you. Although you should niche on job roles. For example, if you are full stack, please be full stack. If you are cybersecurity, please cybersecurity. Because we also see that some people get confused. It's like, oh, I'm doing cybersecurity, but I'm also a PM, but I'm also interested in data science. It's like, please choose the one that you're doing. So in terms of finding, what that role is for you, I will tend to talk about that. But before I start talking about that, let me talk about the finding your stack thing. I don't think you can find your stack because the truth is you are working somewhere today. They're using C Sharp, they're using Azure. Are you trying to tell me that C Sharp and Azure are the only tools you want to use for the entirety of your career? And if you get an opportunity to work somewhere that is doing TypeScript and AWS, you wouldn't take it. It goes back to the fundamentals, right? The stack doesn't matter. If you understand the fundamentals of programming, if you understand the way computers work, you should be able to switch across stacks. You should be able to switch across technologies. If you are using Kafka and Grafana today to do observability, monitoring, DevOps, and stuff, you should be able to switch to Azure Monitor if you get into a company that's what they're using, because fundamentally those things are the same. If you're using AWS and somebody comes to hire you and they're like, oh, okay, here we work with Oracle Cloud, or here we work with Azure, they still have the same kinds of services. It's the brand name that is different, right? But if you don't think like that and you focus on that particular stack, you would have issues. If you can write TypeScript, if you can write Python, I promise you, if you put your head down and learn about, because it's languages at the end of the day. If you put your head down, you can learn how to write Go as well, right? So I wouldn't ask someone to find a stack and focus on it, because sometimes the stack you start writing when you are learning programming is not the stack of the first company that you joined, right? The first place I worked at, I was doing a lot of PHP, I was doing a lot of Vue.js, and I was building Android apps. And I joined Microsoft. I've not written PHP in 5 years, right? Because I started writing C Sharp, I started writing TypeScript. Now, in the new role that I'm currently in, I'm writing a lot of TypeScript. But for the past 3 years, I was writing C Sharp. But imagine if I was like, okay, if it's not C Sharp, I'm not doing. I would miss out on fantastic opportunities, right? Yes. But then in terms of finding a niche, finding a role, sometimes you choose the role, other times the role will choose you. Sometimes you might choose the role when you are learning, going back to what Amina was saying about learning and communities. Yeah. And just sometimes it could be that, oh, okay, what's currently in the market, people are using this.
What do I need to upskill with?
Yeah. What do I need to upskill with? What's like the current trend and all of that. So sometimes which one is even paying the most? Like your motivation. Yeah, like let's be very honest here.
Money matters also. Yes.
I mean, like, you have to pay rent, you have to live your life, right? So like your motivations could definitely be different, right? Across different things that you are doing. But other times it could be that you start working somewhere and you just sort of gravitate towards the technology. The tech sort of chooses you. The role sort of chooses you. I know people and I know that thing they've told us in our life that career is a straight line. It's a lie. It's a very big lie. You will do like this, you will do like this, you will do like this, you will do like this.
You go like this sometimes.
I know people that started as front-end engineers. And right now, I have a friend. She works in Andela, right? She started as a front-end developer. She became a full stack developer, and now she's a developer advocate. I wouldn't be surprised if in the next 3 years she decides that she wants to be a program or product manager, right? So like it's not, you don't have to start, how they tell you, oh, you're a front-end developer, then you become a front-end engineering manager, then you become a CTO or head of engineering, then you retire. Sometimes it might not be that straightforward. It's not everybody that will retire as CTO. Let's be honest. It's not everybody that will reach that point. Do you get what I mean? It's like this. You will try different things. You would see the ones that you like. You try something else. You try something else. Like that's the beauty of your career. It's like you can always try new things all the time. The most important thing is that you are bringing yourself to it. And that's why mentorship is important. I know that finding a mentor is hard, if you try to reach out to somebody on social media, it's like, please mentor me. But you can find mentorship in your office. A bunch of people that are above my level, my manager's level, I'm friends with some of them. They are mentoring me. Some know, some don't know. Like, so that's the thing. Sometimes you don't have to make it official that, hi, can you be my mentor? But if I buzz you and I ask you questions, or if I buzz you and I book time on your calendar that I want to chat with you, will you throw me away? No, you wouldn't. You are working as a mentor, even if you don't know that you are, right? And there's some people that tell me the same thing as well. It's like, oh my gosh, Adora, you are my mentor. You don't know Sha, but you're my mentor. And I'm like, wow, it explains that because somehow you're always stealing 1 hour of my time, 30 minutes of my time at different times. Do you get what I mean? So like, and I do the same for others as well, right? People that are above me in my career and people that are even my mates as well, because I believe that you can learn from different people. So sometimes I guess the role will find you. Sometimes you might just want to try something new just because. Other times it might be that you are deliberate, you did research, you joined a community, you heard about it, you tried it out, you liked it. But I guess what I'm going to say is don't be afraid to embrace different things. You don't know where life is going to take you.
Thank you very much for that, Adora. I hope you guys have learned a lot from the session. So Adora basically saying that even though, yes, a stack is important, but then I like the fact that she focused more on the role than even on the stack, because of if you are saying you want to even do front end right now, there is Vue, there's React, like different frameworks. So you have to choose and you have to learn. So you definitely know the fundamentals of every single thing, how everything works. And then just be flexible, be open to learning and be open to growing. Sometimes a role will need you to learn something. Just learn it because of you need it and so that you can grow. So guys, we want to move into like the question. I think whoever, like anyone can answer the question. So the question is basically that whenever you're caught up between two tech stack, how do you decide the one to go with? And the second question is, what's the best advice you would give to manage your career along with all your passions? So who wants to answer which?
When you're stuck with two tech stacks, how do you decide the one you want to go? It depends on
Yes.
you. I can't say, oh, do it because this is where the market is going. What if you don't want to go where the market is going? You want to follow where your
Passion.
heart. You get what I mean? Like there are different things that motivate different people. Make sure that
Yes.
whatever you're doing is something that makes sense for you. It could be that you are optimizing your skills so that you are, one of the people using the high demand stacks. And I don't even think you should focus on stacks because, like I said, I've interviewed people for C# roles. I've never written C# in their lives, right? But I checked, are they very good at programming? They'd written Java, they'd written Go, they'd written Python. You come into the job and you learn the C#. So I would say focus on anyone. The most important thing is that as you are learning, is the stack that you are using to learn allowing you to learn the fundamentals? That's the most important thing. Whatever the stack is, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Whether it's LAMP stack, whether it's Mean, whether it's Men, all the other ones that exist. I write React. If you bring React to my front, I'll write it. I wouldn't choose React if I had to choose, but I'll write it. If you bring Vue.js to my front, I'll write it. If you bring Angular to my front, although I haven't written Angular in like 6 years, I don't even know what they're doing there now. But 6 years ago, if you brought Angular to my front, I'll write it as well. If you even bring jQuery, I will write jQuery with you. Right. Obviously, if you ask me though, what do you really love to work with for the rest of your life? I will tell you that, please, I want to work with TypeScript and I want to just be writing Pulumi in IAC. But if you tell me, oh, we're not using Pulumi, we're using another kind of IAC, and I know that if I don't do it, they will sack me, I will write it, right? So I wouldn't talk about stacks or emphasize a lot on them because different companies are using different things and you wouldn't stay in one company forever, right? After a while, you move somewhere else. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Thank you so much for that. Amina, can you answer this question? Someone asked that can someone become a cybersecurity expert without having any computer science background?
I think we're now at the stage whereby we should not even be asking this question because
Person asked.
there have been so many people in the world right now that have done it, that have made it in the tech industry without having a computer science background. I mean, I am lucky to have studied software engineering. Adora is also, I would say we're lucky to have, have the foundation of computer science.
Yeah.
But there's so many resources out there. I mean, come on. You can do it, please. Don't think about, yes, there's a benefit having the foundational knowledge of maybe computer science because I mean you guys I thought things like computer theory, like the abstract of the abstract. I mean, you're taught all of that, but if you have the passion, you have the passion, honestly, there's I mean, why wouldn't you catch up? You can start from the basics, you can move up, and before you know, you're even better than the person who had a computer science degree or has a computer science background. So please, there's no limitations to coming into tech. Whatever industry you're in, it's very, very simple and straightforward for you to come into tech. All you need is the
Yeah.
energy.
Yes, I think it has to do with intentionality and willing to learn. Basically, yes, it will take a long time, and yes, there'll be ups and downs, but if this is what you really want, you can do it. Just, I will advise getting a course to basically give you more structure so you're not learning here, there, and there. And definitely join a community and find a mentor. That really, really helps shift your path a lot. So we have one more question here, but I think Adora answered the question. The person asked that, how do I manage my career along with all my passion? Adora said that she basically plans. She plans, she delegates, and that's what she does. She plans and she delegates. If it's not on her calendar, she's not doing it. And maybe at some period in time, you have to choose what you want to do. You can't be doing every single thing. Maybe at a moment, you can choose that, okay, I need to focus on upskilling right now. That means that probably speaking will have to take a backstage for now, or I need to focus on this and that. You just have to choose and prioritize. You just have to prioritize once in a while. So I hope that answers that person's question. So we'll be wrapping up very soon, but I have one more question for Adora and Amina. So now we appreciate the fact that you're here and we are all here learning from you. So what's one advice you would give to people who are looking up to you on probably finding their way in tech? What advice would you give to your younger self?
What advice would I give to my younger self? Or what advice
Yes.
would I to my younger
Yeah.
self? I'll just say, keep at what you're doing. Don't worry. You're all right. That's just all I'm gonna say. Right. Because I feel like I can't tell my younger self anything that my elder brothers and parents and my mentors were not already telling her. So there. But what advice would I give to people? I would say start now. Right. You have many things to gain and absolutely nothing to lose. What's the worst thing that will happen? Okay, if you try, it does not work out, then you sit down. You've not lost anything, but you've gained knowledge, you've gained your network, you've gained, even if maybe you didn't get the job already, you've gained the skill, and you
Yeah.
can like transfer that skill into other things. I'll give you an example. I'm coding, yes, I'm programming, but I mean, like, public speaking isn't synonymous to programming, but I'm going around talking about tech stuff, right? Social impact isn't synonymous to tech, but I am making impact and helping people in the context of tech. When I was in uni, I had a business. I used to make and sell made in Nigeria shoes, right? I had like a shoe brand. Now, because I wanted to make orders like easier and things like that, guess what I did? I built a whole e-commerce website and people were placing orders on that site. They had like an admin dashboard. So you go to the admin portal. I had a manager at the time. So she'll go to the admin backend and see the orders that exist and just like, prioritize and, reach out to the shoemakers. We have these orders. We are delivering to this place, blah, blah. But like I applied tech to that. You might learn the skill today and you might decide that you don't want to work for a company, but you want to carry those skills because tech can be anywhere around us, right?
Yeah.
Carry those skills and do something amazing. So learning the skills wouldn't now be at a loss. That's what I mean by you have nothing to lose, but there's a possibility to gain so much. If you don't get a job in a company because you don't feel like working, or just because for whatever reason jobs are not available, you have that skill and you can build on it. You can become an entrepreneur. You can do whatever it is you want to do with that skill. So start now. Be teachable, because nobody knows. Be teachable and be humble. Nobody knows everything on their own. You're going to interact with a lot of people, and you want to make sure that you are, at least in some way approachable, so people can teach you, people can learn from you. You have a grown mindset, you're teachable, and capitalize on networking, because at the end of the day, that's the most important thing that would supercharge your career. People move around, people know people. Let's say you start working in a company like Twitter next year, right? Your colleagues at Twitter, some of them moved to Meta, some of them moved to Google, some of them moved to Oracle. Many years from now, they're hiring, right? And because you were someone that you were not just someone that was, on the team, but you were showing yourself, you were networking, people knew you, right? It's easy to reach out to your colleagues that have moved on and be like, hey, I saw this role in Oracle. Could you recommend me? Or sometimes they'll even reach out to me and be like, Oracle just opened up this new role, and when I read it, it felt like you. So are you interested in this role? Right? And these subtle things are things that can change your life, because people plug people into other things. People connect people to opportunities. So if you are by yourself, not networking and doing things like that, there's a lot you will miss out on. No human being is an island. We don't do things alone. If you even look at something as small as a music video, there's so many people that make it happen, right? To talk of something as big as your tech career, a music video is just 3 minutes. But when you look at the credits, everybody involved in that video, and when you look at people, like the possibility of the number of people that can be involved to make your career successful, you will know that it's important to network, and not just go to networking events to meet people, but also sustain those professional relationships that you are creating. Because the fact that you don't just know somebody because you follow them on Twitter. Do you interact with them? Do you have some kind of connection with them? It's a relationship as well. It might not be a friendship, might not be a romantic relationship, might not be some kind of acquaintanceship that you have with your classmates, but it's a relationship, and you should also treat it as one. So I would say, like, also focus on that as well. I'm not talking about nepotism here, right? I'm talking about like networking that can supercharge your career. It's important that you do well. So yeah, I think those would be like all the tips I'll give.
Thank you so much for that, Adora. Bigness, thank you, amazing. Amina, what about you? Advice for your younger self and to our audience.
Honestly, I think Adora really just like covers everything, Yeah. So for me, I think the only thing I can say is, when I was starting out, I wish I had done a lot more research. I had just assessed what kind of fields were out there. I had found my why, kind of. Instead of just like liking this career and disliking it, I wish I had identified my core values, my motivations and aspirations. I really didn't have any of those. All I knew is I wanted to be in tech. And I guess that's maybe why I didn't really prioritize my foundational knowledge. So things like, don't skip the basics, please, guys. I keep mentioning this because Adora earlier also mentioned how you wouldn't want to choose a stack because the world is changing and everything is really diverse. But I wish I had, if you have not foundational knowledge on Python, whenever you see another programming language, it will look similar. So I wish I had done that for myself. And also, the last but not the least is, I wish I had been able to manage my time better. I have seen progress people made in tech in 1 year. I have seen it. And it's taking you maybe 2 years to do the same. So, but that also brings into the factor that maybe I have been handling a lot of things. I don't only do tech like Adora. I manage, social communities. I do a lot of social impact work. I also have, some businesses, ABC. Like, there's just so many things to do. So I wish I had learned to prioritize, which would I be giving more energy, which will be given low priority and all of that. So honestly, in general, I feel like there's no one way, what do you call it, one manual fits all. Life is a trial and error. You would have to try what works for you and hopefully, um, we all, everybody watching this will all do well, and hopefully we'll see you guys one day and you'll be like, you watched us today, and one or two things that we said resonated with you and helped you career wise. So that's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Amina. Thank you so much for sharing. So we're wrapping up right now. Just have one question, and this is like a game question. So Adora and Amina, if you could be an animal, what animal will you be and why? Yes. Yes. An
Animal would I be? Let me say two. So the first one, if I were to be on land,
okay.
I will be I will be a cat
Okay.
because I have so much self-confidence.
Wow. Okay.
I feel like, and they say that cats are proud, right? So
Okay.
her. But like I think, but that's just me, like, jokes aside. If I were to be an animal, I would be a kind of bird, maybe a dove or something, like, because maybe an eagle. I don't know, but I want to see the world from up there, right? So that's why I will be a bird, just so that I can be flying and be looking and just be appreciating this beauty that is the earth. Yeah, so that's definitely the animal I'll be.
Thank you very much. That's really nice. Amina, what about you?
Yeah, so for me, I always tell people, in fact, those that know me know that I always have a butterfly somewhere in my life. So for me, it's just a butterfly. I just love the transformation, the metaphor. What do you call it? Metamorphosis, yeah, of a caterpillar, the ability that it undergoes, like that significant change and that transformation in life. For me, is just it includes my personal growth, overcoming challenges and embracing new beginnings. And as a butterfly, this always reminds me that growth is necessary and change will always happen. So it's up to me to, be able to adapt to all of it. And then I just, when you look at those animals, they're just so pretty. The way they fly freely, no limitations, and the ability to just rise so high. Yeah, I just love butterflies, honestly.
It's totally fine. It's okay. So we're done. Thank you so much for your contribution, you guys. We really learned a lot from your story. So, guys, I hope you learned a lot from Amina and from Adora. They are amazing. And please, you can follow them on social media. They will give you their handles that you can reach them. You can reach them on. And I think we're done for today. Thank you so much, guys, for joining in. Damien, you can take over.
Thank you very much, Blessing. And thank you very much to our guest speakers, Adora and Amina. I certainly learned one thing that stood out to me from your conversation was being courageous, whether that's being like Amina, who had the courage to like try out different tech stacks and decide which one she wanted, or being courageous like Adora, who is more like if she has a goal in sight, she's going after it no matter what, and nothing is getting in her way. I feel like that's very inspiring, and I hope our viewers have found that very insightful. To our guest speakers, if our viewers wanted to get in touch with you via social media, what would you suggest is the best way to go about that? Is it by would you have like a Twitter handle they could get in contact with, or LinkedIn?
Yeah, okay. So for me, it's Twitter. I feel like I live on that app. So if you want to reach me, and please don't DM me, right? I live on Twitter. I live on the TL. I don't live in my DM. My DM, I don't know what's happening there. But if you want to ask me a question, it's very easy to just at Adora. I'm like, I'm struggling with this. What do you recommend? And then if it's something personal, I might DM you and then we'll fully have the conversation. Or if I can answer it on the timeline, we'll just answer it and then we'll keep pushing. But you can find me on Twitter at Adora Nwodo. So that's ADORANWODO. I live on the timeline, so it's very easy to reach me.
Amazing. Thank you, Adora. And how about you, Amina?
So for me, I'm not a social media person, but I try to be there. So you can reach out to me on Twitter too or LinkedIn. I'm most active on those two. So on Twitter you can just search at AMIYNARH. And on LinkedIn, I think if you search in Amina Lawal, I don't know, I should come up. Well, I guess I'm not the only one with that name on LinkedIn. So Twitter would be your best guess.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Amina. And to our audience, please note that if you have any queries or feedback regarding all things 3MTT, please DM us on our Twitter, which is at 3MTT support. Thank you. And thank you very much to everyone who has joined us today. And yes, enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.